Republicans are facing an impending disaster in the Arizona Senate race. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 Arizona Senate race because everyone, Republicans are facing a big problem in Arizona, and I want to be clear that this is not a personal attack against Kari Lake. Hell, I think if she's the nominee, you should still support her at the end of the day. But at some point, we got to be honest with ourselves that if we don't resolve this big problem ASAP, we're going to lose the Arizona Senate race, and not just by a tiny amount, by a huge margin. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, still support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now, let us get into it because this is getting bad. I mean, look at this. According to the RCP aggregate, as of now, Ruben Gallego is winning by 5.5 points. Now, to be fair to Lake, there are two polls that are complete outliers in CBS News and Predictive Insights. But even if you took those two polls out, let's say, fine, they're off by a lot, it's not going to happen, whatever. She would still be losing by over 3 points. There's no other way to splice it up as a complete disaster. Now, people are going to say, well, what about Ohio polling? What about Wisconsin polling that shows Eric Hovde down, that shows Bernie Moreno down? What about those states? Well, here's the difference. Arizona polling, it can be off by maybe a point or two, maybe. The difference is Ohio and Wisconsin polling, they suck, especially early on. You cannot trust polls out of Ohio and especially Wisconsin, especially the presidential year. You can't trust polling from those states. While in Arizona, yeah, there's been some polling misses here and there, but not by 7 points. All right, it's been by 1 to 2 points at most, not a 6 to 7 point miss, except once in a while, maybe there's a miss of that magnitude. But outside of that, the polling in Arizona is usually pretty good. And right now, they have Gallego losing or winning by 5.5 points. And you might be saying, well, that means Trump must be losing too. No. Right now, he's winning Arizona, not by 1 point, by 4.5 points. In other words, Trump is outrunning Lake by 10 points in Arizona. So no amount of coping can deny that, hey, wait a minute. Kari Lake is doing 10 points worse than Trump. And theoretically, Kari Lake is the Trump of Arizona. She should be running at nearly identical margins as Trump. Theoretically. I understand it's a Senate race, and things can be different from a presidential race, but either way, the fact that she's doing 10 points worse than Trump should at least set off some kind of alarm bells, especially with the fact that everyone in Arizona knows who Kari Lake is. It's not a Wisconsin or hell, even an Ohio situation where no one knows who the hell Eric Hovde or Bernie Moreno are. They still have low name recognition. So they could gain, and I think they will. That's what's going to happen. That they're going to pull badly now, but we know for a fact they're probably going to surge come November. All right? Because they have low name recognition. Theoretically, they can only go up. The problem with Lake is, well, everyone has an opinion on Kari Lake in Arizona. And for a lot of people, it's not a good opinion. That's her biggest problem. She has universal name ID, but the problem is it's shitty. It's not good. It's not positive. Most people have an unfavorable opinion of Kari Lake. And a lot of people still don't know Ruben Gallego, and Ruben Gallego is a progressive. So when you combine all of that, it's like, wait a minute here. She's down by 5.5 points against a nobody when everyone knows who Kari Lake is? How is that good? And even with the polls that are closer, like Rasmussen, they have Gallego down or up by 3. Well, compare that to the presidency. Trump's up by 7. Which, again, is a 10-point gap. Fabrizio, Gallego plus 3, Trump plus 5, an 8-point difference. But what amplifies this problem is, let's face it, the Kari Lake campaign so far has been a disaster. And I know, I praised the campaign 6 months ago because in January, in February, it was a good campaign. They learned from their problems and mistakes from 2022. The problem is, ever since then, I don't know what happened. This campaign has become a colossal disaster. Whether it's the abortion stuff, which I still don't get what the hell she was trying to do there. She was trying to pander to the pro-choice people, then it backfired. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to say you're pro-choice? Why? All you had to say was, leave it to the states, let them decide. That's all you had to say. But she made a big deal about, oh, actually, I support the woman's right to choose. Choose what? And we know for a fact a bunch of pro-life activists in Arizona, they were furious when she said that. It's not like with Trump where the only people that got mad at him for his statement were the grifters. I'm talking about the actual pro-life people, the people that actually give a shit and understand, okay, we can't go for a total ban yet. We gotta slowly get to that point. When even they said, okay, this is a pro-choice answer, that's not good. So she's been saying some bizarre stuff. Her campaign hasn't done anything. Hell, she's in Mar-a-Lago more than Arizona. I'm not even kidding. It got so bad that even Trump kicked her out. That's the rumor. Because all she was doing was sitting at Mar-a-Lago and not campaigning. It's like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you campaigning in Florida? Listen, one event, fine, for the fundraiser. But the problem is she kept going back to Florida like every other day she was at Mar-a-Lago. It's like, what are you doing? You're running against Ruben Gallego. You're not running in Florida. Who, by the way, Ruben Gallego is a super overhyped candidate with a bunch of skeletons in his closet. The fact that you're down by not just a point, you could say fine, you're down by 1 point because there might be some Republicans bitter, fine. When you're down by 5.5 points, with the name recognition like Kari Lake has, against a weak candidate like Ruben Gallego, who has a ton of problems. Just look up Ruben Gallego, deadbeat dad. It's not good. The fact that you're down by 5.5 points against that is kind of pathetic, but let's face it. This was predictable, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I thought, okay, when Lake announced, yeah, Gallego was the favorite, all right? But Lake would make it super close. It would be down the wire. Because I always thought that what happened in 2022 killed their political career, at least in the short term. I really thought that, yeah, this did it. Not only did she lose, the aftermath of it pissed off a lot of people. Now, let's not get into that because that's a whole separate conversation about what happened here. But either way, it's a fact. The vast majority of people in Arizona are furious. They're not furious, they're just not happy with how Kari Lake responded. Which, by the way, we are not going to discuss the merits of the claims here because YouTube. But either way, it doesn't matter what you think happened here. It doesn't really matter. It's a fact that this hurt Kari Lake. If she would have just conceded right away, right, she would be in a way better situation because people be like, okay, you know, she might be extreme. She might be a far-right Republican or some BS like that, which some people actually believe that. But if she conceded right away to Katie Hobbs, like say, okay, we want to recount whatever, but concede, I really think that she would be in a much better situation in this race. I really believe so. Because people would look at Kari Lake and say, you know, may disagree with her, but at least she realized she lost and she conceded. She did start a shit show. Well, a lot of people think she started a shit show after the election. And it hasn't helped her. I mean, seriously, what did she gain from that? 2 years of legal battles, and there's been nothing gained of it. In fact, it hurt her. Politically, it killed her career. I really believe that. Now, can she still win? Absolutely. I still think if she's the nominee, she does have a chance of winning. And I do think if she does win the primary, which we'll get to in a minute, you should support her because Kari Lake, she has problems, is obviously way better than Ruben Gallego. Hell, she's better than most Republicans. The problem is, I don't see a pathway for her to win. I really don't. I just don't see how you overcome a 5.5 point deficit when you're in June and when you have universal name recognition. I don't see how you overcome that. Is it possible the polling is off by 2 to 3 points? Yeah, I could see that. But even in that scenario, she would still lose. And on top of that, she would be underperforming Trump by like 10 points. So at this point in time, we gotta have a serious look at the primary, because if we have no chance with Kari Lake, we might have to try someone different. And there really is only one person running that has any shot at winning: Mark Lamb. Now, I am not saying that Mark Lamb has much of a chance of beating Kari Lake. I don't think so. But I think he would be the better option. All right? I am not saying that he's perfect, but let's face it. If Kari Lake is already down by 5.5 points with universal name recognition, it could get slightly better, but do you really think she's going to make up a 5-point gap with everyone knowing who Kari Lake is? I don't think so. And Mark Lamb, yeah, he said some stuff he probably shouldn't have said, but the difference is no one really knows who Mark Lamb is. All right? No one knows, except maybe he's a sheriff. That's it. So with that, he could theoretically improve his name recognition because a lot of people don't really know who Mark Lamb is. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect, but at this point in time, is Kari Lake going to have any chance of winning? She might have a small chance, but at this point, wouldn't you want to try something different? Like, okay, let's try Mark Lamb to see if he has a better chance of winning, because I really think so. I think he's a boom or bust candidate. That means he's either going to do way better than Lake or way worse. But at this point in time, if he loses by 7 points, doesn't really matter. If Kari Lake loses by 3, does it really matter at that point? I don't think so. So I think Mark Lamb, he's either going to be a really good candidate or a really crappy one. There's no in between. He's not going to do the exact same as Kari Lake. I really believe that. So we should take the risk. Let's take the gamble, because at this point, I really don't think Kari Lake has any shot at winning. So why don't we take the risk with Mark Lamb? And I want to be clear that I still like Kari Lake. I still think that, she could still win, but I'm being a realist. This is nothing against Kari Lake herself. I just think as of now, she doesn't have a pathway to victory. And on top of that, I think she's running a bad campaign. So I don't think she can really come back from this deficit. I just don't think so. It's not because I hate Kari Lake. I don't. It's just reality. I want to win the Senate race, and Mark Lamb is still a good option. People make it sound like he's an establishment Republican. It's like, what? He's not. He might be more a libertarian, but he's not that different from Kari Lake. Let's stop pretending that he's an establishment Republican because he's running. It's like, what? If he was somehow the Republican establishment's pick, wouldn't he have the backing of them? He doesn't. He has no one of note backing him as of now. So either way, folks, we got to see what happens in this race. I do think if you live in Arizona in the primary, vote for Mark Lamb. Give him a chance. But if Kari Lake is the nominee, support her. I just think that as of now, she can't win. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.